Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's Usman here from the Deenspiration podcast show, and welcome to episode 43 of the podcast, which actually is a bit of a different one this time round. Instead of our usual interview style discussion, today is a Ramadan special, and we have actually a Ramadan Q&A show today, answering the questions that you submitted over the past few days for our guest today, Shaykh Amer Jamil, to answer. Now, we cover a range of different questions and answers from things like Taraweeh at home this year, especially because of the Covid-19 lockdown, right? Ramadan's going to be at home this year, to things like Zakat, Eid prayer at home perhaps as well, what invalidates the fast, what you can, what you can't do, who should fast if they're ill, for example, and a lot more. So that's coming up in just a moment, inshallah. But before that, I want to tell you a little bit about the Ramadan Virtual Hub created by the iSyllabus organization this year to provide you with round-the-clock content while you're at home this year in Ramadan, so that you can continue learning and gaining the blessings of Ramadan even from the comfort of your own home. And this is available right here actually on your smartphone, from things like weekly virtual khutbahs to tafsir of the Quran on a nightly basis, videos for kids and teenagers as well, and also things like an iftar reflection every single day, and so much more. So here is how you get access to the Ramadan Virtual Hub by iSyllabus on your phone. The Ramadan Virtual Hub is accessed via the Moment Pin app. Head to the App Store and type in Moment Pin. Once downloaded, enter your details and create a new account. Then search for Ramadan 2020. Once inside, you'll have access to a range of content with topics such as Quranic tafsir, the 99 names of Allah, nightly iftar reflections, community issues, a weekly virtual khutbah, videos for teenagers, a dedicated kids corner, content to boost your Ramadan productivity, a Q&A section, and much more. Alright, so go ahead inshallah and download Moment Pin today so you don't miss out on this daily content during Ramadan. Alright, now let's get straight into today's episode featuring Shaykh Amer Jamil, who's answering your questions on the Fiqh of Ramadan. Okay everyone, and welcome to this episode with Shaykh Amer Jamil. Let's get straight into the Q&A inshallah. Assalamu alaikum Shaykh, how are you doing?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How's the quarantine life going so far?
Alhamdulillah, it's absolutely
You're
fine.
not finding it a bit stressful being in isolation, or you're managing alright?
Not really, because I remember like when I was studying, a lot of my time was just spent, reading and just focused on like one thing, which was studying. So I've done it before, so alhamdulillah, I'm not really finding it that difficult. It's fine. Spend time with the kids, spend time with the wife. You can call everybody on WhatsApp anyway, or FaceTime. So you go for a walk every day, do some gardening, paint the fence, cut the grass. You know what I mean? And there's so much stuff I always have. I'm always playing catch up anyway. So the way I'm looking at it is an opportunity to get a lot more done, inshallah ta'ala.
Good, alhamdulillah. Okay, so let's get started inshallah, Shaykh. Of course, this year there is a lot more confusion out there in the community. People are intrigued about what we can do this year indoors, especially because we are inevitably going to be facing a Ramadan inside. So there's going to be no Jum'ah this year. For the first time in many of our lives, there will be absolutely no Taraweeh for at least most of the month of Ramadan. So the first question that a lot of people are asking naturally then is, when it comes to Jum'ah Salah, when it comes to Taraweeh prayer, how do we deal with this at home? So number one, can we pray Taraweeh at home together? And then what is the procedure for doing that? Because people are asking this question a lot because they're thinking, if I can't go to the Masjid, can I pray at home? And if so, how does that work?
Yes, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to everybody. Yeah, I mean, we're in a unique situation, and the Sharia always adapts to every situation. I think the first thing to bear in mind is that the sunnah is actually to pray all your prayers in the home except the fard prayer. So even though we might go to the mosque and pray our prayers, you're actually supposed to pray your sunnah prayers in the home and only pray the fard in the mosque. So, and the reason for that is to ensure that the house is alive with the worship of Allah. So, one of the benefits of the situation we're in is actually people are now forced to pray in their homes more. So, they're actually bringing a lot more barakah, a lot more light into their homes. So, that's actually a positive thing. And you can do the adhan as well in your house. You can get your children involved doing the adhan as well. So, that's the first thing. Second thing is, we obviously in the situation we're in for Jummah, we're not going to pray the Jummah prayer because we can't go to Jummah. We might be able to watch it or listen to it online, but we will pray our own Dhuhr Salah in the house. And we'll pray with our if you can pray with other people, so you pray in Jamaat. And the Taraweeh prayer itself, obviously, it's not as stringent in terms of like the Jummah prayer is wajib upon obligatory upon males. The Taraweeh prayer is not an obligatory prayer, it's a heavily emphasized sunnah. In fact, I actually did a video about this because, like you said, this is a recurring question. And I put it on my YouTube channel because it just kept, people kept asking the question. And although a couple of contemporaries gave the fatwa that you can actually pray behind somebody who's in a like different location, like by live stream, it's a very minority position held by a couple of Maliki scholars, but the vast majority of schools say that you have to be in the same space. So we're not going to pray, just like we don't pray behind the imam in the haram, or even though we can watch on TV, we do the exact same thing. We can listen and take benefit from the khutbah, but we will do our own salah in our own time in our own homes. Taraweeh prayer will be similar. Taraweeh prayer, we are used to praying it with Jamaat and listening to, many times we listen to a juz every night, and we finish the Quran usually on the 27th night. That's not possible. So the way we can improvise, you could say, is to either listen to a juz every day. So you're getting the same experience of listening to a juz every day, get a nice qari, and then just pray whatever you have memorized in the salah and your Taraweeh prayers. And sometimes it's good to repeat because it makes the memorization stronger. In many Muslim countries, when I was living there, they would just read parts of the Juz Amma, the last Juz, over and over again. So that's absolutely fine. You don't have to do a khatam. It's recommended, it's sunnah, but it's not an obligation. Or the other recommendation which I gave is that you pray your fard prayer, your obligatory prayer, like your 4 rak'ahs of Isha, your witr, just normally. And in the witr, in the sunnah prayer, which is the Taraweeh prayer, take the position of the Shafi school, which allows you to read from a mushaf. So many of us are not half of the Quran. And in that way, you can do a juz, you can read a juz in the salah, just the same way you'd hear the imam, you just read it yourself. So you can do a whole completion in the month of Ramadan yourself. And if you've got family, you can get them to follow you, behind you. And that's absolutely fine to do that, to take another position, especially when it's not an obligation, so it's not as stringent. The only main thing you need to remember is in the Shafi school, the Basmala and the Fatiha are obligatory, and you should make sure you don't miss that out. And also for females, that they should cover their feet because it's from the aura, from the nakedness that they need to cover. If they're praying in congregation, the people behind also need to read their Fatiha. So when the Imam says Ameen, should leave a gap and then allow people behind to pray the Fatiha. But if you did that and you prayed the normal way that you pray, you will cover all the aspects in the Shafi school. If you do your wudu as normally, like you don't leave out any sunnahs, again, your wudu will be covered in the Shafi school as well. And this is actually also an opinion of the 2 companions of Abu Hanifa, Abu Yusuf, and Muhammad. They actually said, because in the Hanafi school, the problem is the holding the mushaf and turning the pages is considered to be excessive movement, which breaks prayer. But the two companions were of the opinion if you could read without turning pages, but if you could read something, then it would be fine. So sometimes in Syria, what they used to do is they used to have, like the imam might have like one of these massive mushafs, really big ones, on a stand, and then just put it there. So you got 2 pages, and you'd read 1 page in one rak'ah, another page in the second rak'ah, without actually turning pages. So you just stand up and you just read it. That's fine according to the two companions of Abu Hanifa. And then afterwards, he gives salams, he would just turn the page for the next 2 rak'ahs. So that's, a position within the Hanafi school as well. So I think because of the situation we're in, and we want to make Taraweeh an spiritual experience, only Ramadan that comes once a year, my recommendation would be just to take the Shafi position and read a khatam yourself. And that way, inshallah, you kind of still get the same, and it might actually even be better because yourself, when you behind the imam, you lose concentration, kind of mind drifts. But if you're reading it yourself, you're probably you're more likely to concentrate, and you can use like a phone as well if you wanted, just like scroll down the phone. So
it's okay to have your phone in your hand, provided of course it's on airplane mode and that you're not distracted by WhatsApp messages. Okay.
Exactly.
And if somebody was to hold the mushaf physically in their hands while they pray, if they took the Shafi'i position, what would be the situation then when that person has to then go into ruku' and sujood? Would they have to have somewhere to place the mushaf next to them?
Yeah, so what you should do is just have like a table next to you. So, when you go to ruku', you obviously close it. You put the ribbon there so you know where you are, you close it. You go into ruku' and just put it on the table. And then go into, you do your sajdas, and when you come back up, just pick up again.
Great. So on to our next submitted questions, again to do with Taraweeh. So number 1, is there a minimum required for a jama'ah? There's also a question here about husband and wife praying together, and also actually a female leading the prayer as well.
Yeah, so you only need 2 people to have a jama'ah. So if it's you and another male, the male just stands slightly behind you. Or if it's you and your wife, she just stands behind you, or you and your mother, or you and your sister. All you need is 2 people in the house, and that's it. You've got a jama'at going, inshallah. And the females leading other females in prayer, that's permissible, and actually is sunnah in the Shafi school, but it's considered to be makruh tahrimi in the Hanafi school. So it's valid, but it's frowned upon. So again, what I would probably say is, if there are a few females, let's say one of the females is a hafidh of Quran, she knows the Quran by heart, and obviously she's got the ability to lead the prayer and do a khatam, and the other females would benefit from it. Then what I would say is, if they're like say the Hanafis, I'd just say, look, pray your fard as normal Hanafis, and you witr as well. And then during the Taraweeh, again, take the Shafi position. And as long as you do the Basmala and the Fatiha and cover your feet, you'll be fine. And you can use just lead the prayer. The female can lead the prayer, and do a khatam of Quran. She just, in terms of the standing in the line, says 3 of them. She just stands the imama stands slightly in front of everyone else, not a whole row in front like the Hanafi school, for a male. So I think because the Taraweeh prayer is not and it's not a fard prayer, and because it's not a fard prayer, it's a bit easier to take another position. It's a bit more relaxed. On the fard, follow your school. Sunnah, no problem. Take Shafi school is one of the 4 schools, a valid school. Just do a couple of things that you need to bear in mind, and inshallah, you've got to look at the benefit that it can give the people praying, especially in a lockdown situation, especially in our situation. We're really in need of a spiritual lift.
Someone's asking, is it better to pray Taraweeh at home, or is it better for one to instead replace or use that time to make up their missed prayers from the past, their missed fard prayers?
So this depends on the school that you follow. If you follow the Hanafi school, they say that you shouldn't leave an emphasized sunnah prayer and you should make up your missed prayers in the spare time. So in a lockdown situation, I imagine people have got a lot of time.
Yeah.
So plenty of time to make up their missed prayers. In the Shafi school, you can actually, like if you're praying in Jamaat, say the Imam's praying the Taraweeh prayers, you can actually make the intention of Fard if you're praying behind the Imam. But that's in the Shafi school. But in the Hanafi school, you don't need the Sunnah Mu'akkada. If somebody's got like years and years and years, like they've got 40 years of Salah to make up, and they're really struggling, then you could say, okay, just do qadha instead of like a Sunnah prayer.
Perfect. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. So I hope, inshallah, that clarifies for people the rulings on Taraweeh at home, and that all of you are encouraged to still continue praying at home, inshallah. On to fasting now, Shaykh. Someone is asking now that in light of Covid-19, people are worried that they might be experiencing some symptoms. They're unsure, they're feeling unwell, and they might think that I could have the symptoms and therefore my health is of utmost importance. Should I be fasting in that situation if I, for example, rely on medicine in order for me to get better and not, catch the deep end of the virus?
So that I mean, whether it's COVID-19 or not, that's just a situation of somebody who's unwell. So if somebody becomes unwell, and obviously we know from fasting that if the person fasts, they're going to become more unwell, or it might not be that they become more unwell, but their recovery will be delayed. So if the recovery was a week, by fasting it became 2 weeks. In both situations, the person doesn't need to fast until they're better. If we can get a doctor's opinion, many of us, one of the good things is Muslim community is full of doctors.
Yeah.
So everybody knows somebody who's a GP or somebody who's a doctor. So if you can speak to a Muslim, because obviously they fast, they know what fasting entails, and say, look, these are my symptoms. What do you think? And they say, yeah, don't. It's probably better, and you don't fast. So it's always good to get somebody else's opinion. But generally, the position is that if somebody's not well, marid, as in the Quran says, فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ أو على سفر. So if you're ill or you're traveling, then you can not fast and make them up at a later date, inshallah.
Someone's asking, do I have to make up my missed fast from last Ramadan before I begin this Ramadan?
In the Hanafi school, there's no penalty. You just have more fast to make up. But in the Shafi school, if you don't make up your fast from last Ramadan, then you have to give fidya for every day that you're supposed to have fasted. But in the Hanafi school, there's no penalty. You just have to make them up.
Okay. Now, both of these next questions are a bit similar. It's to do with being the only person fasting at home. One person is asking, I am the only one who fasts at home. Is it haram or impermissible for me to prepare breakfast and lunch for my siblings and the rest of my family?
Depends if the person who she's preparing or he's preparing the food for is exempt from fasting. So it could be that the person's ill, it could be the person's extremely elderly. Usually it's like somebody that's got severe diabetes or something like that. Something where they've been told medically, they've got a medical condition that they shouldn't fast, like an elder. Then they're exempt from fasting. Or say, for example, the female's menstruating, so she doesn't have to fast. So for people like that who are actually exempt from fasting, you can prepare food for them. If it's somebody who is not fasting but should be fasting, there's nothing wrong with them, they're just choosing not to fast, then you shouldn't be preparing food for them because you're helping them to sin against God.
One person is saying that it's actually for example, their spouse isn't very practicing, and they have tried their best to explain, but it causes a lot of animosity between their relationship, and so the husband would expect the wife to prepare food, and if she doesn't, there's a bit of trouble there. So in her situation, what would you advise?
So, I mean, like I said, we there is no disobedience to the creator, the creator. in exchange for obedience to the created. So we can't relax these rules. All I could say is, for example, she could make plenty of food and put it in the fridge overnight. Then whenever he's hungry, he of his own accord is going into the fridge and heating it up and eating it. So she's not then involved in that sin.
In the situations where there's someone might be a revert or convert to Islam, and so the other people in their family aren't Muslim at all, so in that situation, would that be exempt because technically they don't believe in fasting at all?
Yeah, that's different because they don't have to follow the Sharia anyway because they're not Muslims.
Okay. Someone's asking that I usually fast at least half of Ramadan without actually waking up for suhoor because I have nobody in my family to wake me up. Is it okay to stay awake until Fajr, then sleep during the daytime? I think what she means here is that she wants to stay up throughout the night in case she misses suhoor. And she said that she heard that doing that actually reduces the reward of the fast. Is that the case?
That's absolutely fine to do. No problem whatsoever in that. When I was in Yemen, they had an actual practice where I lived where in Ramadan they would actually flip the day around. They'd spend the entire night just staying up. Then like the whole, like if you went out in the street at 2 a.m, it'd be basically jumping. So it's absolutely fine to do that. And what they would do is, again, stay up all the way until the morning, and then in the morning they would, after Fajr prayer, they would go to sleep, usually from just after Fajr up to Dhuhr, and then get up for at Dhuhr time, and then start the day again. So it's absolutely fine to do that.
Okay, so as a follow-up question to that then, Shaykh, if somebody was to sleep throughout the night and past Fajr, can that person still continue to fast the next day?
Yes. I mean, in the Maliki school, you just need one intention at the beginning of the month, and that suffices you. In the Hanafi school, you can actually make the intention when you wake up, as long as you're still in the first half of the day. So if you're still in the first half of the day, you can actually, so say this person woke up at 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock, but 12 up to about 12 o'clock, they can make the intention for the fast of Ramadan.
Jazakallah khair. Someone's asking about inhalers, Shaykh. This person has seen on different Ramadan timetables and other rulings that inhalers invalidate the fast. She's asking about her father, who is concerned about the respiratory health that he has, especially in light of the virus going around. So he is taking his inhaler more often out of caution, just in case, because he feels that his lungs are a bit weaker. Now, for this person, when they're fasting, can they continue using it? It's important to note here that they are not currently reliant upon it. It's only out of caution. So when they're fasting, can they continue to take the inhaler, or is it best to only do so when the fast opens?
It depends on what the medical advice that the person's got. If he's asked a doctor and the doctor says, yeah, by taking the inhaler, it will actually be a lot more beneficial for you. And if you do catch the COVID-19, it will enhance your chances of recovery from it, etc., etc. So in other words, medically, it's been, it's not just him making it up. Medically, he's got advice that it will actually benefit him. Then he can use it. I mean, the general position on the inhaler is that it breaks the fast, but there is a minority of scholars who believe it does not break the fast. And their evidence is, is reasonably strong. So what I tend to say for people that use inhalers is that you basically start the day and try not to use it. But if it comes to a point where you need to use it, then you use it, and just if there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, like in every other way you can fast, then if you have to really use it and just continue fasting. But because so in other words, you're kind of going with the minority position to complete the fast. But because the majority say it breaks the fast, just make up that day when the days are really short, like in December when it's like a 9-10 hour fast as a precaution.
Perfect, Jazakallah khair. two of the next questions are quite similar. It's about having broken a fast in the past. So one person says, I broke a fast when I was younger, and now I have fasted that day and repented and paid sadaqah. Will that be accepted? The second person said, I broke a fast once in the past, but I was unsure if this was before or after puberty, as in maturity. Is kaffarah necessary? And should you follow that which you think is most likely? What's the situation with that? How do you go about dealing with that?
Yeah, so if you've broke a fast in the past deliberately, then you need to make up. In the Hanafi school, if there was absolutely no reason to do it, then there's a kaffarah, which is to fast 2 months consecutively. But in the situation like the other person, where they're not sure whether it was before puberty or after puberty, because if it was before puberty, they weren't. It wasn't obligatory anyway. Then, so what we'd say is, look, not sure. The other thing is that there's a difference between breaking the fast and not fasting. So let me explain that. So in other words, if you like you intended, like that. Remember that example you gave the spouse. It just doesn't fast at all, because he has made no intention to fast. He actually, when he eats during the day, it's sinful, but he's not breaking a fast. If you know what I mean, he hasn't started a fast to break it. The fast only it starts when you intend to fast, and then during the day you break it intentionally. Okay. So the intention basically commences the fast. Without the intention, the fast hasn't actually began. You just sinful for eating and drinking. So the Hanafis basically say that the kaffarah is for spoiling a fast. Okay. So if you made the intention and you started off and then you broke it, then the kaffarah kicks in. If you just didn't fast at all, maybe you were ignorant, you didn't understand, you didn't make any intention and just didn't fast that day, then you only need to make up that day. You repent, you give sadaqah, all these things, and inshallah it's overlooked. So with the person who said that they were kind of, they can't remember, we would just say, look, did you actually spoil the fast, or did you just not fast at all? You know, like some people say, oh, I had sports day that day, so I just didn't fast. Yeah. So they didn't actually have the intention to begin the fast, to actually break it. They just didn't fast at all. So if you didn't fast at all, there's no kaffarah. You just make up that one day. If you hadn't started the day fasting and then broke it, then there's a kaffarah of the 2 consecutive months. If it's for that person who just doesn't know and say they're 80% certain it was before puberty, then just say, look, go with what you're more certain of. And I mean, and if it's too difficult to do like 2 months consecutively for whatever reason it is, you can do it. You can do it in the winter, December, January. You can do 2 months consecutively. But say that person is unable to do that for whatever medical reasons or whatever it is, right? Maybe they're underweight. I don't know. Then you can say, look, take the Shafi position, which is that the kaffarah is only for breaking the fast due to sexual intercourse, and not if it's just eating and drinking, then it's just that day you make up. Obviously it's self-sinful and you repent.
And of course, if someone accidentally breaks the fast, that doesn't count for them, right? This ruling.
If you accidentally break the fast, you can actually just continue, because if you forget,
continue fasting and not continue eating, right?
Yeah. So what happens is, if I was fasting and I just completely forgot that I was fasting, and then I remembered, oops, well, I'm still fasting, then your fast is actually valid. You don't have to do anything. If you accidentally broke it, like you're gargling and doing wudu and not supposed to be, but you swallowed it, then yes, the fast is spoiled, but you only need to make up that day. You don't have to do kaffarah.
Perfect. Speaking of kaffarah, someone is asking, can one take the Maliki position to pick what kaffarah to do, as the Malikis allow the person to choose, and if one has done it in the past, even though they do not any longer follow the Maliki school of thought anymore, back then they did, is that accepted?
Depending on what the reason for doing that is. If it's, like I said, if there's a genuine reason for it, like the person was underweight, bulimic, or something like that, so it was just causing them undue hardship to try to do 2 months, then it's fine to have taken the Maliki position. If it's just because, oh, that's a bit hard, isn't it? 2 months and I didn't even attempt it, then you'd say, look, no, if you're young and healthy, give it a shot. I mean, the whole world's into this intermittent fasting now, all these athletes. So 16 hours, you don't eat, 8 hours you eat for. So that can, I mean, in December, you've only got a 9.5 hour fast. Literally, you can have your breakfast at 6 in the morning, have a good breakfast, and break your fast at 4 o'clock. So it's just like a late lunch. So that can be easily done over 2 months if you're young, fit, and healthy. And so you need to kind of make an attempt if there's no reason. If there was a genuine reason for it, then we could say, well, okay, fine, you can take another school of thought because you have a genuine reason to do that. But if you don't have any reason, just being lazy or just not attempting it, then you need to give it a shot first.
Okay, so next question here, Sheikh. Both are actually quite similar. Number one, does steam or smoke from cooking or burning scent invalidate the fast? They follow up to say that if it's already in the air as opposed to smelling it directly from the burner itself. Second question is about scents and perfume. Does that break the fast if you smell it?
Yeah, so if it's like steam or cooking or whatever, and it's just in the atmosphere and you're just walking about the house and you smell it, then it's not going to break your fast. If it's something which has a body, like you can actually see, the steam coming out the pot and you put your head over it and inhale it, then it will break your fast. So if you can't see a particular body, but you can smell it in the atmosphere, it's fine. And same thing with smelling perfume, whatever. If you do the air freshener and there's a big mist and you breathe it in, then it will break the fast. But if there's no physical body that you can smell it, right? You can smell there's musk or there's itar or whatever it is, but you can't actually see anything, then you're okay.
Someone's asking, why does taking medication invalidate the fast when it's not actually for nourishment?
So it's based on analogy, qiyas, on food and drink, because food and drink gives benefit to the body, and same thing with medicine. Medicine gives benefit to the body. So if there's a genuine excuse to take it, as you know, if you become unwell and you need to take medicine, then that's different. You can break your fast because you become unwell. If you're unwell and you're taking medicine, and you probably shouldn't be fasting anyway. But we're talking about a situation where there's nothing wrong with you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you, right? And you go and have an ice cream, your fast breaks. Or you go and drink a bottle of Calpol or cough mixture or something, right? Your fast is going to break because it's still got something which it nourishes the body, even though it's medicine, and you have no reason to take it. There's no reason for you to take it. If you have a reason to take it, then you're going to be excused anyway.
Sure. And just for fun, Sheikh, because of course you don't get asked it enough times every year, can you use toothpaste when you're fasting?
Yeah, the toothpaste question? I used to get that every single year, several times by different, on WhatsApp, every single person. And the thing is, you get tired of answering the question. I think it was you that told me, I can't remember who it was. Someone said, look, just do a YouTube video and then just send out the link every year. So I did a YouTube video on it last year. I should have done it years ago. But basically, the point is, if something goes down your throat, it breaks the fast. But if it's something like, for example, in wudu, you put water in your mouth, you gargle it, and you spit it out. It doesn't break the wudu, right? Even though there's something, there's going to be some remnant of water, isn't there? But it's so little, it's overlooked. So same thing applies with toothpaste. If you apply a little amount, and it freshens up your breath, but you basically just spit it out and make sure that to the best of your ability, it's not in your mouth, then it's going to be considered permissible. But because you have put something in your mouth and there is a possibility that you might swallow it by accident or something like that, as you're brushing teeth, you might take a gulp or something. Because because you're putting yourself in the slight amount of danger, it's considered to be disliked, because putting anything in the mouth where there's a danger that could be swallowed is disliked.
So then you mentioned earlier wudu. I take it then, so in the ghusl, we have to put water in our mouth and we gargle as well. So in the situation where you're scared, you have to perform ghusl before you can pray. But the gargling part worries you. You're worried in case you might swallow water. What would you do in that situation?
So in wudu and also in ghusl, when it comes to fasting, you do not exaggerate. So you only put water in the mouth, swirl it about in your mouth, spit it out. You don't gargle. You don't do it in ghusl, you don't do it in wudu. And even when you put water in your nose, you don't put it up to the hard part of your nose. You put it to the soft part of your nose in both ghusl and wudu, because of the danger that you might face on.
Sure. Jazakallah khair. Moving on to now the topic of zakat. Can we give zakat to people suffering from financial difficulty because of the current COVID-19 coronavirus climate? Say, for example, they're financially burdened, business loss, wealth loss, etc.
Yes, I mean, we have clear categories of people we give zakat to. In that category is somebody who's in debt. In that category is somebody who's faqir or miskeen. One being somebody who's got like next to nothing, like a homeless person, but the other person is poor, meaning they do not have what's called the nisab in Arabic. Nisab is basically 87.5 grams of gold. And I was teaching a lesson the other day, so I checked the price of gold and it worked out to be £3,808. So it fluctuates obviously depending on the value of gold. So if that person doesn't have £4,000 spare in excess of what all the other things they have, then they will be eligible to receive zakat. So if the person's just got a home, a car, the basics of life, but they don't have any savings, or savings of £1,000 or £2,000 and that's it, then they will be eligible to be given zakat too. But if they have savings of say £5,000, £6,000, or they have excess, things like, for example, they have a second home, which they rent out, then obviously because they might not have £3,000 or £4,000 as savings, but they have extra stuff that they could sell, and that would be over £4,000. So in the normal circumstance, say the person's got one home, one car, one phone, one laptop, books, clothes, just the usual stuff. We don't look at that. We just look at what's the excess wealth they've got. If they don't have, if they have savings of less than say £4,000, then we could help them out. Or if they've gone into debt because they've lost their job or whatever, then again, somebody who's in debt, we can give zakat to as well.
Jazakallah khair. And regarding zakat al-Fitr, or some people call it fitrana, is that paid only by the head of the household, or does everyone individually have to pay it for themselves?
I mean, the general culture that we have is the head of the house pays it, because a small amount, it's nominal, £4 or £5. So if the head of the house pays it, then it absolves everybody of it. I mean, I remember for years my father would just give it on behalf of everyone. So it's not a problem. But if, for example, he didn't give it, then it'd be an obligation upon me to pay it.
And does that include only those who are mature or children as well?
Yeah, so basically you pay for all the members of your family, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, so on to the Eid prayer now, end of Ramadan. So if the masajid are still closed at this time, what would happen then to the kind of communal obligation of praying the Eid prayer? Can we pray Eid prayer at home in Jama'ah with our family? Do we have to? And if so, how should we go about doing that?
Eid prayer, if we're still in a lockdown situation, there will be no Eid prayer for us to pray. We will not pray Eid prayer.
So in that case, we just pray the Dhuhr prayer at home, right?
We just pray our normal prayers at home. There's no, like, Dhuhr has a substitute, Jummah has a substitute, which is Dhuhr. But there's certain things which have no substitute, like the Janazah prayer doesn't have a substitute, Eid prayer doesn't have a substitute. So we would just pray our normal prayers, and that's it. There'd be no Eid prayer.
Sure. And lastly, Shaykh, that's it for the questions. But generally speaking, then, do you have any kind of final words of advice for those this year who are really anxious about Ramadan, being at home, boredom sets in, there's a sadness in the air, the atmosphere, and the Ramadan spirit really isn't as alive. And people are very concerned that they won't have the spiritual buzz or the energy to carry out their worship, especially those at home who don't really feel that at home, and they depend on the Masjid and that kind of exterior motivation. Like myself, for example, I really enjoy going to Taraweeh prayer, iftar with my friends, etc. What can you advise us, and just to keep our spirits up this year in Ramadan during lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, alhamdulillah, I think there's quite a lot of things online that are going on that people can engage with, and also it's all about your mentality. It's about what you make of a situation. So one situation is, oh, I'm stuck at home, I'm in a lockdown, or I don't know how to pass my time. Another attitude is, okay, Allah's put me in a lockdown. There must be wisdom in this. So let me use this as an opportunity. So for example, getting fit, right? You don't have to go to the gym to get fit. You could, if you did press ups, 100 press ups every day, when the end of the lockdown, you'd have some serious muscles, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, you can, every aspect of your life. I mean, there might be books that you've not been able to catch up on. Maybe you've struggled to read Quran in the past, and this gives you a chance to do a khatam or do 2 khatams. So I think use this as an opportunity. We might never get a Ramadan like this ever again. You might never have this amount of time in your life ever again. So time is so important. It's like a commodity, right? Time is money, as they say. So the way I look at this Ramadan is, this is an opportunity that God has given me. I've got so much time. Like that sister was saying, there's nobody to stay up in the house to get her for suhoor, so she's going to stay up the entire night and then sleep, maybe like to midday or something. She's never going to get that opportunity ever again to stay up during the night, because in a normal situation you need to go to work, you need to get up 7, 8 in the morning, right? This is probably one time you can actually change you can flip your entire schedule to whatever you want. You could stay up all night and sleep half the day. You'll never get to do that ever in your life. So the night, Ramadan, you can get so many things done. Because remember, you're eating and drinking during the night. You can have a coffee, you can have a tea. So you got plenty of energy in the time between Maghrib and Fajr, and you can get a lot done in 6-7 hours. If you use that wisely, and then rest during the day. So I would say make yourself a challenging schedule, not just a schedule, but a challenging schedule. Push yourself and keep yourself occupied. And the thing is, there's lots happening online. Even a lot of mosques are doing reminders. Ourselves at iSyllabus, we're doing a number of things to keep the community going. So tap into that, and just really see it as an opportunity. As you know, every Ramadan, what happens? It begins, and before you know it finishes, isn't it? The time flies.
Yeah.
It goes so quickly. So to get the most out of it, and it'll go quickly as well this time, even though we're home. To get the most out of it, you need to give yourself a robust schedule and a challenging one, so that you can push yourself. And the thing is, it really is what you make out to be. I mean, I've been running around my garden, building up, my stamina, because I thought, right, okay, I got this picture about how to run 5K. I mean, I don't like running. I'm more of a weights person, but in 9 weeks. And what you do is you just kind of slowly build it up. You run a little bit, you walk, and you run a little bit, you walk, and then you just keep building it. So I thought, khalas, by the end of the lockdown, inshallah, if I can run 5K, that's fantastic. And in between, you use your own body weight. You don't have to have weights. You can use your own body weight. So what I'm saying is, you improvise, for your health, and And the same thing with your time. So it's a brilliant opportunity to actually stay up at night for a change. I mean, I've done it because when I was in Yemen, we used to do this regularly, and it's amazing. It really is amazing if you can stay up at night, because what happens is you have so much time. You break your fast, you have time, you go and do Taraweeh prayers, you come back, you do a bit of tafsir, and you've got like 3-4 hours before you need to sleep. And those 3-4 hours, it's calm, the kids are asleep, there's no noise, it's complete peace and serenity. You can, you read up, you can get Quran done, you can get so much done in that time. And then, you've got the day to rest. So I would say, make yourself a challenging, robust, challenge yourself, make a, all these get like charities, this challenge, that challenge, climb this mountain or whatever. There's always you're challenging yourself, isn't it? And basically part of the excitement is, pushing yourself to see, can I do it? Same thing with Ramadan, just like really push yourself, give yourself things which you've never done before. So you just say, right, this Ramadan, I'm going to do something I've never done my entire life. I'm going to do, if every year I've done one khatam, this year I'm doing 2, right? I used to do 100 la ilaha illahs every day. I'm going to do 1,000 this year. And just really, really, give yourself a target, and you'll be amazed when you have a target how much you can achieve, inshallah. So see it as an opportunity.
I love that mindset. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for your insights and that advice. I hope, inshallah, those watching will take heed. Thank you once again for answering those questions for us. Alright, that was today's episode featuring Shaykh Amer Jamil. Now, I don't know about you, but I found that extremely insightful and very beneficial. Certainly answered a couple of questions that I had, and I hope that, inshallah, now those of you who did submit your questions have found the answers that you were looking for. Now, if you do enjoy these types of Q&A episodes, let us know, inshallah. Give us your feedback, and inshallah we can bring you more episodes just like this. Thank you so much for tuning in today, whether you've been listening on Apple Podcast or on Spotify or SoundCloud or watching with us here on YouTube. It's been wonderful to have you. Please do go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast apps, inshallah, to catch future episodes just like this. And of course, don't forget to leave us a positive 5-star review. We do love hearing from you. From me and the Deenspiration team, have an incredible Ramadan, and do stay tuned here on the podcast and also on our social media channels. All the links are going to be down here below for daily and weekly content to keep you motivated and inspired throughout the month of Ramadan. I've been Osman. Until next time, may Allah bless you, protect you, and keep you safe during these testing times. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.